What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be going over cardio. Cardio is one of the most important things as it pertains to being a tennis player, no matter what level you are. If you can't maintain a good level of cardio endurance and cardio strength, you will not be able to have a long-lasting tennis career, or it will at least be very difficult. So let's get into the things that can help you guys get match ready as it pertains to cardio. So when you're looking to get into cardio shape, you also have to look at two differentiating factors. Are you looking for cardio endurance, or are you looking for your ability to maintain a higher cardio level? And you have to train those things separately and differently. When you're looking at being able to have cardio endurance, you would think of people like marathon runners, you would think of people like soccer players, because they spend a lot of time moving. Tennis players, on the other hand, do need cardio endurance, but they actually need to be working more on high level of cardio intensity as well as recovery. So in this video, when we're going through these, I'm gonna make sure I tell you guys exactly which one we're practicing. That way you can differentiate what you need to be prioritizing. We're gonna start off with cardio endurance. Cardio endurance is actually one of the easiest things to practice, but it's also very mentally draining because you're gonna be doing things for a very long time. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into one piece of cardio equipment that everybody can be or should be very familiar with. So as I'm sure you guys saw coming, I'm on a treadmill. What you're gonna be doing when you're on a treadmill, obviously, hopefully you're not walking backwards yet. It takes a little bit of skill. But once you're on the treadmill, what you're gonna be trying to do is maintain intervals of 3 to 5 minutes, depending on your level, and the speed that is relaxed but maintainable. So obviously, if you are a person who has limited mobility, this might actually be enough for you. Now, don't do it backwards. I'm just doing it this way so I can talk to the camera, but you'd be obviously going forward and then maintaining whatever the speed is that you need. This falls into the category of cardio endurance. I recommend, as I said, 3 to 5 minutes, and then coming off the treadmill, waiting for your heart rate to come back down. And then once everything has gotten to a level where you feel really relaxed, going back on for 3 to 5 minutes. I say do this 4 to 5 times, which should take you anywhere in the range of 15 to 20 minutes on the actual exercising, and then with like 4 or 5 minutes of recovery in between. The treadmill is one of many different pieces of cardio equipment. The one reason why the treadmill is a good place to start is because the treadmill actually does a lot of the movement work for you. You can stand and it will pretty much just stride your legs for you. And all you have to do is be able to maintain the rhythm. You set it to the speed that you need. There are other treadmills out there that you actually have to actively move. Those are a little bit more difficult and for higher level athletes. So just to illustrate this, obviously most of you have seen somebody on a treadmill. I recommend putting it at an incline first. And then for me, I can run probably somewhere about 8 to 9 miles an hour. And I would just maintain that speed for whatever the time is. So for me, it'd be 3 to 5 minutes. Once I'm done, get that heart rate back down, get a drink, recover, and then just jump right back into getting that heart rate right back up. Another good piece of equipment would be the bicycle. The stationary bike, if you have one. There's different types of bikes that you use. I've seen Pelotons, ones that use water, air resistance, or even the CrossFit fan bike is another good example. But the main thing you want to do when you're on the bike, this is one of those ones where you really can dial up and dial back on the intensity. I prefer to do this one in an intensity setting. So like we said, we have two different categories. One is cardio endurance, and one is being able to go up and down in intensity. So I like to do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. 30 seconds on meaning really going as hard as you can for 30 seconds. So really pumping the legs, getting everything moving really hard. And then 30 seconds of trying to get that heart rate to come back down and get everything relaxed. The reason why this is so important in terms of tennis training is you spend a lot of your time playing tennis in peaks and valleys. Peaks and valleys meaning turning your level really high and then trying to get yourself back down and recovered and ready for the next point. The stationary bike is a great way to really maintain that rhythm, have a clock right in front of you where you can really see yourself just count down, same way as if you're playing a match. You've got 25 seconds in between points where you have to get ready to play, and then you have no choice but to get that point going. And then as soon as that point's over, you're trying to bring that heart rate back down. The stationary bike, as well as many other pieces of cardio equipment, can help replicate that type of skill. So as I'm sure you're starting to think by now, cool, Will, I don't have a bunch of cardio equipment that I have access to. How can I train my cardio if I don't have a treadmill or a stationary bike or any of the other really cool pieces of equipment that are available? This section is meant specifically for you. You don't have to have those things. Those things are just commodities that make it easier to maintain a certain standard as it pertains to how much weight you add or turn down or having certain inclines and such. If you have no equipment available, you can go for a run, you can go find a field, you can go run or walk hills, and you'll still be getting a lot of that stuff. The only thing you have to make sure that you're also doing is you keep a watch or your phone active so you can start timing the levels of intensity that you're trying to maintain. So for example, if you go to a field that's public use to you, you can jog up the field and then walk back. Then jog up the field and then walk back. That's the same concept as going 30 seconds on and 30 seconds off. If you're at home or the weather's bad, you can jump rope in your garage or out in the backyard or something like that. You still want to do the same thing and decide what type of workout you're doing. Are you training endurance or are you training intensity? When you train intensity, again, you want to be going super hard and giving yourself an interval of recovery. When you're training endurance, you want to go long distances and then still give yourself that recovery, because as it pertains to training like a tennis player, you have to make sure that you factor in that recovery, because even tennis players get an allocated amount of time to recover. They get to catch their breath. They get changeovers to grab a drink or a snack. They get 25 seconds in between points before they have to start the next point. All those things factor in when you're training for cardio as a tennis player. So one thing that every tennis player should have access to if they are able-bodied is a jump rope. Again, you can buy these for $5 to $15 depending on what rope you want to have, but this right here will drastically increase your ability to perform cardio on or off the court. When you're jumping a rope, you want to go in sets of 50 to 80, and you want to do them for 8 to 10 sets. I recommend doing it like that, and the reason why is, like I said on all the other things, you want to factor in high intensity and then recovery. And the luxury of having a jump rope is you also train those explosive muscles in the leg, just as if you were split stepping and going to go hit a forehand or a backhand. And the thing is, this shouldn't take you long to do or long to execute. If you'll ignore the noise of me jumping rope, the pace that you should be able to maintain should be somewhere around there. And if you're able to jump at that pace, 50 reps should take you about 20 seconds maybe. So it doesn't take long to get that in. And if you're the type of person that needs to jump rope like this, it's still fine. You're still training those explosive muscles in the calf at your own level. But the jump rope is one of the things that every tennis player should factor into their cardio training, because it is a direct correlation to the way you're going to be moving on the tennis court. And then if you want to be fancy and do all the other stuff and learn those, that's cool. But as long as you're adding in that bounce from the legs, you should have plenty of benefit when you're using a jump rope. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I know it was not super broken down and super detailed, because cardio is one of those very subjective things. All I can really do is tell you guys what to do. There's not a lot of teaching that goes into cardio, because you have to do it in a way that is built around the way your body functions. If you're older, obviously you're not going to be doing things that are super pounding on the joints. If you have coordination issues, obviously jumping rope is going to take practice, but the way you formulate it is going to be the same across the board. You're going to want to have endurance workouts that are long-term with breaks in between, and then you're going to want to have intensity workouts which are a lot higher level, but then they're going to last for a shorter amount of time, and you're going to do more intervals of them. So for example, like we said with the bike, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. There's a bunch of different cardio equipment that I could have demonstrated it on, but the methodology is still the same. Rowing machines, treadmills, bikes, ellipticals, stair steppers, they all work the same if you know how to function on it and you know how to structure your workout. There's nothing specific that you have to do to train cardio aside from raise your intensity or draw out the level of the cardio that you're doing. As it pertains to being on a tennis court, there are certain exercises that lend themselves specifically to training certain muscles, like I showed you with the jump rope, but cardio itself can be trained in any fashion. But that's gonna wrap this video up. Hopefully you guys felt it was a little bit useful. If you know anybody that needs to train their cardio, please send this video off to them, but we will see you guys in the next one.